Good evening, everyone. My name is Renee Smith, and I'm the CEO and founder of Independent Authors Book Experience. Welcome to another edition of The Author Speaks, where we talk to authors from around the globe. Each month, we feature a different genre, and this month, we will be featuring children's book authors. Today, we have some amazing authors who we will be talking to. But before we meet the authors, we want to do a little housekeeping, and we want to remind you of our 8th annual Independent Authors Book Expo. Yes, I said 8th. Which will be held in person on Saturday, August 7th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the borough of Roselle in New Jersey. We are so excited to be hosting this event again in person. Last year, in the midst of the pandemic, like everyone else, we had to pivot and we were virtual. But this year, we'll be in person, live and direct in the borough of Roselle. Of course, we'll be following all the CDC guidelines. So we have a limited number of spots this year. So we're only featuring 30 authors and vendors for the 2021 Book Expo, IABX Book Expo. However, the spots are almost gone. We have 2 spots remaining. So if you would like to exhibit at the event, please visit our website at www.iabx.org. And we still have a little bit of time to register. You can still register there. And we have authors coming from Michigan, Texas, North Carolina, Maryland, Pennsylvania. They're coming from all over to be right here with us in New Jersey. And of course, yes, we have people from Jersey. So come on from the tri-state, they'll be here. We'll be featuring some amazing authors. You're going to be blown away by the number of authors that we have and the caliber that we have. You don't want to miss this event. However, if you are unable to attend the event this year, we're offering authors the opportunity to place a full page or half-page ad in our ad journal, which is given to every attendee that attends our event. So even though you can't physically be there, they will still get your information. So again, visit our website, www.iabx.org, and the registration and the ad placement end on 30th. So just keep that in mind. June 30th, and our website, iabx.org. Okay, finished with the housekeeping. Let's get on to the business at hand. While you are here to meet these amazing authors, so we're going to start and introduce to you our first author, who is Miss Ginger Smith.
Hi, Renee. Hi, Zoe.
Hi, Ginger. Welcome. Just tell us a little bit. Just introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
I'm from Philadelphia. I'm a mother of 4, a grandmother of 2. I work in the social service field. I enjoy, besides writing, I enjoy volunteering in the community, and I enjoy coordinating community engagement events.
Oh, wonderful. And I have to say, I do love those earrings. Cute. Very nice. I'm just seeing them a while ago. They're just like popping.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was feeling inspired because of the Senate's motion to move forward with Juneteenth becoming
Juneteenth. Yes, absolutely.
A federal holiday.
Absolutely. So we'll be celebrating again this weekend. It's even more meaningful to have that Juneteenth celebration. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we want to introduce to you our second author for this evening, Mr. Zoe Miller.
Hello, everyone. How you doing, Renee? How you doing, Ginger? Pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you for being here, Zoe. And can you just tell us where you're from?
I am from good old Lawrence, New Jersey. I've resided here for the past 20 years. Beautiful little area.
Okay.
Live here with my beautiful wife, and I have 3 adult children. And I'm a network engineer, but more so an inspiring children's author.
Okay, so we're gonna hear a little bit more about you as an author and the books that you write, and just to get a little bit of who you are and why you do what you do.
Mhm.
So, um, Ginger, and I can see your background with your books and your stand. So, just tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay. Well, my book is called Nile Surprise Discoveries. I released it last uh, August during the COVID. It's a story loosely based on an experience I had with my eldest son when he was just 4 years old. So that kind of gives you an idea of how long it took me to write the book because he's now 25.
Oh wow,
But
big boy.
yes, but it's a story that I've had in my mind and my heart for many years, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to persevere through this challenging time to finally get it done. And I'm happy and excited to say that I'm working on the follow up, which will be released this August, early September, and that title will be Nile's Surprise Visit. So it's a sequel.
Oh, very nice. You're working on a series now.
Well, I'm not
That's
sure about that. I'm at least going to pump these two out, but I'm ready to move on to something different.
Mhm.
But it wasn't my initial vision, but listening to the feedback from my supporters, they wanted a little more about what was going on with Nile. So I'm excited to share.
okay. Okay. Well, I'm excited to hear what's Niles's new adventure. So definitely keep us posted and definitely come back when you release that second book. Excellent. So Zoe, tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, my book is about Daddy's youngest. And I share some of Ginger's background. This book took about 15 years to push out because
Wow.
it was a story about my baby girl, youngest, when she was about maybe 6 years old. And it's more so Maddie's grumpa day. And she has a bad day in school. And she comes home, and like all good parents, we give her nothing but love and TLC and hot chocolate, and we make her laugh, and we help her to understand that, sweetheart, these are days that happen. This is life,
Yes.
and it's a bad day, but it's like, look, baby, tomorrow's a new day. We do nothing but love her and show her, just have a good time with her and just show her, look, baby, it's all good. But yeah,
Yes.
it's a good story. But it took about 15 years to print out also.
And isn't that something? Because I think this is kind of leads into the next question in terms of your inspiration to write your books,
Yeah.
because you both have similar um, inspiration, your children or
Mhm.
your family, so um, you kind of spoke a little bit about it, but how do they feel about the book that you have written about them?
Well, my youngest, she's excited. My family is very supportive. They're behind me. They're committed, to actually pushing the book out. But this is just the first of many. And this was just more so. I've always had that writing spirit, even as a teenager.
Mhm.
But my children more so helped me to focus and like, hey, Dad, when my oldest daughter, and I want to shout out my oldest daughter, Randy, love her. Her birthday was yesterday. I want to say happy birthday to her
Oh,
again. But she told me, I was reading a story to her, and I had a tendency to embellish and make up better endings, better beginnings. So she said one day, she said, Dad, you make up your own story. I was like, oh. So it started from there, making up stories, and then you eventually you build a whole bunch of these stories, and you say, okay, what am I going to do with them? And
yes.
sometimes life gets so hectic and you're so consumed where you have to be able to sit down and say, okay, sometimes it's time for Dad to start pursuing some of his dreams. Let's begin to push this stuff out there. So
Yes.
that's how it went with me.
I totally agree. In terms of the embellishment, like I said, my story is loosely based on an experience we had, but I gave some embellishment just to draw in my readers.
Absolutely.
But as much as we want to focus on how negative COVID was, I see it as a positive because I'm a very busy woman. I work a full time
Yeah.
job. I just graduated with my master's last month, and
Wonderful.
I was virtually homeschooling three children while writing both of these books. COVID allowed me to slow down a little bit. I actually remember the day in 2018. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I told everybody in my household, I'm writing this book today. It's here, but today I'm going to get it on paper. They looked at me like I was crazy. But as Zoe also stated, my children are my biggest supporters too. They have watched me throughout this process, and they're very knowledgeable about how to write a book now, and they're just
Mhm.
very proud and excited for me. So it's nothing like having that support of your loved ones when you're pursuing your dream.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm a children's book author too. So this month is very near and dear to my heart because my books are um based loosely off of my children's lives. It's actually a compilation of all our lives, from
Yeah.
starting from the actual protagonist, who is Freddie. That was the name of my husband's nickname when he was growing up. To just the activities that he experiences, which is why I asked you if you're doing a series, because I started out with one book, and now I'm up to four, and I'm working on the fifth one.
Mhm.
So
That's
I
good.
went to I went to a reading with children at the school, and they said to me, Mrs. Smith, does Freddie does he have a little brother? I'm like, why doesn't he have a brother or a sister? I'm like, I don't know. Guess I'm gonna have to write one little sister or brother. So every time I go out, they push me to write the next series or the next book or something. So I
But
can see
that's a
where,
good thing, Renee, because you
yeah,
would probably never get it done if they didn't push you. Your
yes,
kids, they're your my wife, she inspires me. My wife keeps me level headed, and I'm a dreamer at heart. And if my wife didn't keep me grounded, I'd be out there all the time. But she knows I need that time to myself sometimes, just to write those things and pull them out of my head and just put them on paper.
yes, yes. And what has been your response? So do you do a lot of presentations? What is the response with regards to the books? Because they're so true to life. How do the children respond to your books?
Well, I'm still early at this. I'm still new at this. My book just came out in April.
Okay.
So I'm just a few months in, but it's been I've received a lot of good feedback. It's been received quite well from my family members, the community. But we know I'm an independent author, so there's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of things you have to do yourself, and just to push the book out there. And at the end of the day, it's about commitment, your hard work, and getting it out there to the public. But so
Yeah.
far, it's been received very well.
Okay, very nice, very nice. It's a lot of the times, like I say to people, it's it's okay if he wants to hang out. I tell people,
This
I
is my
This is
tell
his
niece.
moment. Let him shine.
and what's his name?
This is Grayson with the
Hi,
phone.
Grayson. This is your big 5 minutes of fame.
Uh-oh.
How he runs.
He got camera shy.
I know, right? Um, but hi, buddy. So this is one of the things we always say. Writing the book is almost, even though you say it took you 15 years or 20 years to write the
Mhm.
book, but the writing of the book is almost the easy part. Once you get into it and you start to write, it's like it just goes really quickly. Like
Exactly.
it's just getting to it. But once you start writing, like you said, um, I'm going to write. I'm writing this book today. Everybody
Yes.
back away. I'm doing
Mhm.
it today. So once you set your mind to it, but this is once you start to it's the marketing and the PR. That's the piece that really kind of,
Yeah.
I want to say, wears you down, so to speak, because
No, you're right. It can be very it's difficult sometimes, because you have to question sometimes. Some people receive it, some don't. And as an independent, there has to be a level of financing where you take and separate that and begin to do this big giant marketing plan. And it's
yeah,
like, but all it takes is, I'm a praying man. So all it takes is the right person, the timing, and it can work. But you have to, as long as you're committed to it, it's just a matter of time.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
couldn't agree more. that's one of the things that I definitely recommend to aspiring authors like ourselves, that writing the book is just half the battle, if
Mhm.
you will, because you have to market yourself. You have to promote yourself every opportunity you get. You know, you have to create those opportunities that are not there.
Absolutely.
You have to be passionate about your book and excited for others to share that same passion. Um,
Exactly.
I was able to do some virtual readings during COVID. I had a
Yeah.
wonderful experience that a friend of mine created. She had a couple that invited me to their home, and there were families social distance on blankets in their backyard in
Oh,
the middle of COVID,
nice.
and it was amazing. And then after I read my story, each family came up one at a time, so we social distanced, and I had an opportunity to engage each family and autograph the book. Um, I did do a few in-person situations as well. Um, and then I'm really excited if I can share this past Saturday for my professional work job. We had our
Yes.
first COVID event since COVID, so it's been our community
Oh,
engagement event. I'm sorry, it's been a whole year and a half, but I was able to create a mascot in the likeness of my main character. So that was
Oh,
oh,
so that was his first public appearance on Saturday, and everybody loved him. And he was out there doing the cha cha slide and
that's
hugging
hilarious.
and
That's
taking
good.
pictures, and
You got to market it.
yeah,
bringing a
that's
lot of
awesome.
joy.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I definitely advise just expanding your brand and looking of how you can create extensions of your story to stay relevant.
absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to say, if you're just joining us, this is the monthly author speaks, and we have today with us children's book author Ginger Smith and Mr. Zoe Miller. And if you would just be so kind, if you're on right now, just to let us know what city and state you're tuning in from. So just drop that in the chat so we can see where you are, where you're tuning in from. And one of the things, you gave some advice to aspiring authors, but what was the hardest part of writing your book? What would you say was the hardest part of putting the book, besides the length of time? What was the hardest part? What was it that really kind of had you in a box in your head, if you will?
With me, it came to the editing, because when you begin to push your book out there, you have so many people, whether it's professional people, laymen's, they're always giving you an opinion about your book. And you begin to wonder, okay, they're saying go this way, go that way. But as you like you said, when you present it to, I guess, publishers and literary agents, they begin to push you in different directions, and you're like, well, that's not the vision I see for the book. I think the
Mhm.
biggest thing is being flexible and being open-minded to be able to change. And I had to tell myself, it's your story. Do it this way if you have to, but at some point, build your brand and then push it out to anywhere you want to. So you have to have a level of flexibility to be able to change, because so many people will have a different perception about how your book should be perceived by others and how you present it. So your story can start out one way, but then after you get to a publisher, a literary agent, and other copyright editors, they say, no, change this, take this out. Real quick, I initially had my story more so critiqued by someone very professional in the writing community, and
Mhm.
he told me to take my wife out of the situation. I had in my book is husband and wife and the child, and I wanted to develop and show I wanted to show that extreme level of love, commitment, family orientation. And he told me to take either my
Wow.
character or her character. And I said, so either make the child a single parent or show it as a, and I was like, no, that's not how I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as I said, the biggest thing is having the flexibility, but also keeping true to your vision.
Absolutely. And one of the things, and we just want to give a shout out. We have a little shout out here for Zoe, and this is
That's
Robin.
that's my baby.
So hi, Robin. Thank you for tuning in and supporting your husband. He's he's not stopping talking about his wife, and he's not kicking his wife out of the book. So kudos
No,
to
she know
CEO for
that.
kudos. And we also want to say, Casey wants to say hi. So hi, Casey, for tuning in. Um, but one of the things is when you're writing is being true to who you are, because, and I
Hmm.
think that's the reason why you're finding so many independent authors, because you have a voice and you have a story to tell, and it's your story.
Exactly.
When you go to a publishing house or an agent, they're telling you, no, this is how it should be, and this is what, but you have a vision. It's like you have this, your divine inspiration for your book, and you're like, this is what I want to say, and this is how I want to say it. Not necessarily the editing piece, yeah, the grammar, whatever it is, but this is the story that I want to share. And a lot of this is a huge reason why you find so many people become independent authors, because they want to keep that authentic sound or that authentic voice. So
Well,
I
you
definitely hear
guys
that.
know our books are our babies. They're like our babies. You don't want anybody to touch them, to change them, or anything. It's like, this is my baby. The hours, the time that I spent doing this, and you want to change something. So
Yes.
you do have to be flexible though, because that's the world we live in. That's the
Yeah.
environment, and everybody. It's at the end of the day, they want to build a financial status, and if this won't sell if unless you write it this way, but like you said, you have to be true to yourself. And sometimes you have to say, hey, listen, what's the motivation? Is it to build dollars, to build some type of financial structure, or you're trying to convey a message? What do you want
Yes.
to do with this book?
Yes.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, man. You're giving me chills though, because seriously, I feel the same way. I really see self-publishing as the only way to go because, like you said, you want to preserve that authenticity. Uh,
Yes.
and when you spoke about it being your baby, I couldn't agree more because for me, I think the struggle was having patience. Like I wanted to get it out. I was just so excited and in anticipation of the release. And then when I hit a bump, it was a little discouraging. But of course I stayed vigilant and I stayed encouraged. But yeah, it's like you're like a proud parent and you want to share your baby with the world. And
Absolutely.
for me, when you talked about messaging, that's important, because some people have asked me, "Oh, you're author, you're rich," and I'm like, "No, not necessarily." And I said,
Mhm.
I'm not really doing it for the money. Do I hope to be
Exactly.
compensated and things of that nature? Yes, but this story and the subsequent stories that are yet to come are, the root of those stories are based in sharing a message. And for me, one of the important messages for Now Surprise Discovery just talks about adventure and resilience and
Yes.
it also talks about mentorship. There's a character, Mr. Williams, who is the ice cream man, but Niles also comes to know him as a retired veterinarian, and he decides to follow in his footsteps as a result of their exchange and him learning about his career. And then there's offering the career of veterinarian science to black and brown and yellow children, putting that in their path. So I was very intentional about the themes. They're interwoven, so it's not like shoved down your throat, but it's
Yeah.
like my hope that was after children read my book that they were inspired.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And with when you're talking about being intentional, because I have, when I write my children's book, I have three things: I want to entertain, inform, and inspire. And
Exactly.
those things, if when I write a story, if I'm not hitting all those points, that book is not going anywhere, because it has to give a message. And one of the things, I have three boys, so for me, I wanted to make sure that they could see themselves reflected on a in a book, on the cover, and be in a leading role. Because why is it that
Yes.
our children aren't, they don't see themselves in that light? The
Absolutely.
books that they read, they're not getting that. So
Yeah.
i I created my own table.
Yeah.
Brought the chairs and welcomed them in. So
It's important. The
yes.
family structure, even when I wrote my book, every book that I have in this head, as far as a line, It's always to create a structure. I initially wrote my book because I wasn't seeing the books that I wanted to see
Yeah.
about the love, the family structure, the commitment, the family commitment. I wasn't seeing that. Now, of course, too, because we have so many indie publishers now, it's becoming more prevalent where people are pushing these books out now. So that's a beautiful thing. But for a while, I was not seeing that family structure anymore. So that was the main focus of my book. I'm like, I want to build a book where I love my family. I love my daughter. My wife loves me. We're showing love to our family. And I even want to actually write the book over again where I show me and my wife interacting. I'm hugging her, I'm kissing her. So it's just a matter of time though. But the goal is also to Boo Bear Books is not just to build and write books. It's to build a book empire. I truly want to do that so we can write. I do books, do films, whatever's in your mind to be able to push an incredible, because the shame of it is, as a Black male, we as people, there's always that negative genre attached to us, that negative image sometimes. And I always want to, even me as a Black male presenting myself to the world, I try to always represent that positive image. It's not always easy though. So in my books, I want to do that, emphasize that even more.
Absolutely. And getting to a child when they're young, instilling that, giving them that visual,
Absolutely.
because sometimes they may not have it at home, but when you see it in a book, you can aspire for that life or that lifestyle or something for yourself. This is what I want for myself. Because if you don't see it, you can model it. So we do that in our books. Do that in our books. Absolutely. So we know we talked a little bit about the books, and you write in children's book genre, but have you thought of going in? Well, Zoe, you just started writing, so maybe this question is a little bit early for you. But have you thought about other genres of writing in?
Oh, Renee, you're touching on something now. Renee just had us filled with stuff that it would take 10 lifetimes to empty it, Renee.
Yeah.
But yes, I have a horror story. I have a romance. Now, here's the thing. I won't know until we begin to push those books out there, but we all feel that we've been blessed to write in different genres.
Yes.
But I have a horror story. I have several romance stories. Action adventure. I got a little bit of everything. Plenty of nonfiction. But I have a 125-page love story. So it's a process, but the children's books are the foundation. They'll be the foundation for it. And it takes time. You have to build. You build the foundation, and at some point you can push out whatever you want to. But I try to write in every genre.
It's funny you said that, because last month we interviewed her name was Chantel Agro, and she said she's a literary artist. And I said, that's interesting, because when you say you're a writer, you kind of lock yourself into a box. But when you say you're an artist, you can do film, you can do poetry, you can do whatever it is that you want to. You don't have to be, just the writer, just the author. So I said, I'm taking that one for myself because I like
That's
that.
good.
I like that, for that feeling. And it's funny because I never started out in children's book. So I was initially, my first two books that I published were cookbooks. So, and I moved over into the children's book world. And then I went in and I did an inspirational calendar. So, I am a literary artist. I'm claiming
Absolutely. We're literary artists. Absolutely.
Yes. Writing in different genres, and even if you haven't written into it yet, thinking of it, I when we when you initially spoke, you said, yeah, I'm going to do another one, but I think I want to go somewhere else. Where's that somewhere else that you are going, Ginger? Let us know.
Well, actually, my youngest daughter was so inspired by watching my process that she wanted a book of her own. So
Oh,
we co-authored a book together. But then I put it on the back burner when I decided to do the sequel for Niall. So she is anxiously anticipating to get her book out. She's not letting me forget every day. When is my book going to, when are we going to
Oh
start
boy.
promoting my book? Um, and it's just a joy to see that she has been inspired, by my actions. I mean, everything I do is really on account of my children, because I want them to know that, sky's the limit. I want them to use their gifts. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
but yeah, just not putting yourself into a box, like you both have said. I also got inspired during this time to form my own publishing company. It's called Black Child Soar, and Soar stands for Stories of Adventure and Resilience. And my hope is to help inspire other authors. Um, Not that I know everything, but having gone through this journey, I want to be able to share what I know. I would also like to do some ghostwriting. I would also like to do some bookmaking workshops with youth and children,
Hmm.
um, and things of that nature. So I'm always, you know, all ideas are always percolating. It's just
Yeah,
there's just never enough hours in the day.
Absolutely. Yes.
absolutely.
My best time to actually sit down
Nighttime
and
for
write,
me.
yeah, is my best time to sit down and write is between 12 midnight and maybe 2 in the morning. The house is quiet, it's
Yeah,
peaceful, and that's possibly the best time where my mind can just focus and I can get so much
yes,
done.
yes, absolutely. I concur. My time is around the same time, or probably a two to about 3, 4.
Yeah,
Absolute quiet. I just mentioned to you, I have a husband and 3 boys,
yeah,
ranging
I
from
understand.
15 to 20. There's never a quiet moment in
Yeah,
my
it's never quiet.
so
Absolutely.
it is. That's the my thoughts are my mind is at peace and my thoughts are together, and I can
Hmm.
actually write it on paper, write it down. So definitely, I concur that 2 o'clock time is critical to
You
getting
got
your
it.
story out there. Um, but one of the things that as we are as writers, I wanted to know: have you guys participated, or you are part of any writing groups or a writing community that has helped you on your writing journey or your writing career?
Mm.
For myself, no, I don't officially belong to any writing community, but I would say that I was a member of the African American Author and Illustrator group on Facebook, which helped me to identify my company that I came to work with. I'd like to give them a shout out.
Okay.
DG Self Publishing, Donnie and Shamira Hill. They're amazing. They're a young African American couple based out of Arizona, and they do formatting, editing, illustrations, marketing materials. They take you from A to Z, the entire process. And I'm so grateful to have stumbled upon them and to be working with them for a second time. Um,
And
so, yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a part of any group. I would like to say, though, going through this process, I'm have befriended several aspiring authors, and we will occasionally, do some cross promotion for each other, and just offer some encouragement. And that has definitely been um, very comforting going through this process, because when you're just starting out, it can be lonely, but
yes, and very daunting.
you slowly but surely start to build your own community just by networking and reaching out to others.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
I'm
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Zoe. It's okay. Go ahead.
I don't have like Society of Children's Books Writers. There's so many organizations I joined to actually build the initial, brand and to begin to push myself out there. But I've learned I try to, like, perfect example. You guys are part of the family now. You're Team Zoe, so it's important to network.
Yeah.
And you don't
Yes.
need you don't need thousands of people. You just need one or two people that you can confer with and have those meetings where say, hey, listen, let's brainstorm and develop this and pull the ideas out of this book, develop it, grow it. And I'm more so, I just try to network as much as possible because you never know what somebody can add to you. And it's not a financial issue. It's about people instilling and just filling you and helping you. And I'm serious. When I say Team Zoe, I have people that I am waiting as the company blows up to be able to say, hey, come on, guys, let's go. Because I love to build a network, and more so you want to be surrounded by good people who are loyal, who are committed to you and can just help you to build.
Absolutely. And
More.
one of the things, like for me, and when I started out, I started as an independent author 10 years ago. And, I realized very quickly that there weren't a lot of opportunities for independent authors, and if there were, it was so difficult for you to get into it. It was almost cost prohibitive. You needed literally a chunk of cash sitting somewhere to the side that
Absolutely.
you were willing to dump into it. And I heard some numbers last week and I was like, oh my goodness, it's interesting, but there's some numbers just the same. And one of the things that in terms of writing, getting that, as I started to write and I started to get out there and I would do book fairs or book groups, someone was having, I have met so many people in so many places. I travel too, I travel to, PA, Maryland, wherever it is, sometimes I can make those longer journeys, but I meet so many people. And as you say, Zoe, you have that team. You're starting to build that base that
Exactly.
authors who can support you by, giving you advice or what they're doing or what they did. And, it's going to be in a space where you can get that information. And that, I think, was how I was able to this is how I built my organization, Independent Authors Book Experience, because I wanted people to be a part of the experience. You come in, you want your promotion, you want to be featured, you want to be spotlighted, you want to share your books, you want to be on the Author Speaks, you want to be at the Book Expo. The IABX is where you come to get that experience, and it's an inexpensive way for you to do it. It's not going to break the bank. It's something, and we're growing. We've been around now for several years, and we're growing. We have last year, in the midst of the pandemic, we had an author presenting from India. So we're almost international. We had someone from Nepal 2 years ago. So we have people from different countries who are participating and being a part of this movement, the experience, as I call it. So
Exactly.
Zoe, you are a part of a good team. We're in it together. We're all in it together.
Absolutely. We're done now. We bonded and we're gonna do great things. And
Absolutely.
I tell everybody, all my friends, I'm like, it's important. We build each other and we grow together.
Yes.
And that's important, that we just learn. It's not about we just isolating ourselves. It's about, look, there's enough for everybody.
Yes.
Let's build each other and grow together.
Yes. And support. It's
Absolutely.
definitely good to be able to support each other and to be there. And kind of keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah,
In that vein, you've been writing you've just been published, but are there any authors that have inspired you during your journey, like to get you to where you are? Have you ever seen, whether it's a children's book author, just any author? Has anyone
children's
inspired
book author. Oh boy. Like I said, I initially began to write because I didn't see what I wanted in the environment.
you?
So, there are, oh boy, That's a good question.
So
No,
struggling.
my only inspiration as far as writing has been my babies, my wife, my children. Though I've always had the writer spirit in me. I've always, like, I'm a published poet. I published some poems many years ago, but it was more so pivoting into the children's book arena.
Mm, okay.
And more so, like I said, I wrote because I didn't see what I wanted. You know, I've read plenty of children's books, and you read the basics, but it just, I was not seeing what I wanted to see, or what was in
Yeah.
my head, what I wanted to articulate. So
Yeah.
I agree. I myself don't have any particular author either that really inspired me. Um, I taught school for several years, the primary grades, and that particular community, most of the children were Latino, and none of our books, you know, represented them, and there was definitely a void there. I definitely believe that. Personal stories are the best stories because they're unique to you and no one else has them. You know, for a
Right.
while there, we were seeing so many books on the circuit about natural hair. Obviously, I'm an Afrocentric African American woman. I love our culture, but I didn't want to see any more books about natural hair. There's so many other stories of value that we have to tell. You know what I mean? So I just think that, you know, everybody has a story to tell and we need to get those stories out and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they yeah, so
that's funny.
no,
It,
I'm
it's
not, please don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking anyone because I've actually purchased those for my daughters. I have
Oh
two
yeah,
and luckily they are very confident about their kinky hair. Some children are not, and so they need that to be reaffirmed. But I
yeah.
think that
absolutely.
there's so much more we can talk about, you know, other than hair.
Yeah. And it's, and I think we go through phases. There is, in terms of the books that you see that flood the market, and which is why, when you have that different book, if you will, it catches the eye and it catches the ear, because like you said, there was like a flood of books about natural hair, or there's so many different versions of those books, and then you're like, okay, you know what, I have a different idea, and
But
that is what catches the
Re-
eye. But yeah.
Renee, here's the thing with that. What Ginger said. See, that's the book environment that we write in. That's what sometimes they feel that we as a people want to see. And it's like,
Mhm.
come on, like you said, there's so much more.
So much
But
more.
and it's also what's selling. The shame of it is there some marketing executive looking at this and say, hey, let's put a book about hair out there to this type of community? And it's
Hmm.
like, come on, really? Of
Yeah.
all the diversity that we have, this is the only thing that you see. And the thing about it,
Yeah.
we know there's slush piles of books that these literary agents see, but then they take this amount and say, hey, what's going to sell, what's not going to sell? Instead of
Mhm.
saying, let's be responsible and push out and hear the voices of many.
But this is where
We don't have just one
you and
story.
I and Ginger come in, because it's up to us to change the narrative. It's up to
Absolutely.
us to change the what they have prescribed for us to write about. This is
Exactly.
why you find yourself in that independence field, because yeah, can you change him, can you make her be, can you make him be, no, he's
No,
from
can
a
you
two
make her
parent
lighter
household.
or make him lighter?
Yeah,
What?
he's from a two-parent household. What is such a novel idea to have a black family from a two-parent household? Why is it so
Absolutely.
novel? We want
Absolutely.
that book. We want our children to see that. That is not a
Exactly.
novel idea.
That's
So
right.
we need to change the narrative. And
Or even give you a quick example. In my book, it goes to show you how things are. I had an illustrator when he wrote about the book. There were scenes in the picture where he wrote, he created such a modest environment. And I had to go back and tell him, no, she's not in a modest environment? What's wrong with a affluent family? And it showed me what he was used to. He
Yes.
made the family very modest. Even him drawing a simple kitchen scene, I was like, whose kitchen is that? I was like, so we had to go back and revamp things because once again, we have to change the narrative.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And we thankfully we have the power to do that now. We have the
Exactly.
power to do that, and we have the means to share our thoughts and our ideas.
Mhm.
And we're not locked in a box somewhere, and we can't be penalized for it because a lot of the times, you would speak up and you get penalized, and you then they put you in the corner, somewhere. You go sit over there. Your book is not going to get
Exactly.
off the shelf right now. So it is
Yeah,
very important for us to drive the bus, get in the driver's seat,
that's
drive
right.
the, drive the bus.
And also sit in the front of the bus.
Figuratively,
Yes.
physically, and figuratively. Because, I live in New Jersey as well, and I used to work in the city. I used to work in Times Square, and we used to take the bus. A friend of mine, we used to take the bus.
Mhm.
She loved to sit in the back of the bus. And I said to her, they have fought too hard for me to sit all the way in the back
Yeah.
of the bus. I sat all the time. Listen, if the driver was here, I was right behind the driver.
Yeah.
I did not. I said, no, you need to come sit up here. I don't know what's going on in the back of the bus, but I am sitting right up here in the front, so I can see what's happening with the world.
Yeah.
So I'm literally moving to the front of the bus.
Absolutely.
Literally. Yeah. So absolutely.
That mindset is important.
That's psychological engineering.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where we have to break those barriers and get beyond that and begin to
Yes.
understand, look, this is where we should be. We're entitled. We should be here. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were made for this. No matter how
exactly.
long it takes you to get here, you were made for this.
Absolutely.
And I want to, we're on the topic, and one of the things is like, what would you, um, what would you say? Because I know you kind of touched on it, but what would you say to an aspiring, whether it's an author or a children's author, what kind of advice would you give to them as they're starting out their journey, or even if they're, Zoe, I know you just recently published in April, but
Mhm.
Ginger, you're a little bit further along, a year in. But what kind of
Mhm.
advice would you give to aspiring authors?
Go ahead, Ginger.
Keep notebook and pad handy to write down your ideas. you know,
Yeah.
do your research. Really investigate. Information that you see. Don't take it at face value. Um, like Zoe said earlier, have a vision and have a plan, but also be flexible. Because you never know what potential blessings you could be blocking.
Yeah.
Um, network. I mean, I've given away so many free copies of my book, and people say, "Well, don't you want to get paid?" And I'm like, I don't know whose hands this book is going to land in, and so many
Exactly.
opportunities
Yes.
develop
Yes.
just for that, and let's see what else. Just be passionate, but humble. And
Yeah.
surround yourself, not necessarily with a whole entourage, but one or two key people that can support you, be your accountability partner. I know with me, like I said, I had a lot going on in this whole process with just trying to parent, virtual school, hold down a full-time job, in grad school, and maintain my household, but and also remain faithful. It's a process, and it's a journey,
Yes.
but it's a
Absolutely.
wonderful journey. As things start to materialize for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm in line to many of the things that Ginger said. Commitment, and I think building the proper network. and more so being patient, having a level of flexibility, and more so creating an outline. Give yourself set in goals for the book, where you want the book. Understand what you want the book to do. What do you want the book to accomplish? Is it some type of financial status? Do you want to send a message? Do you want to convey something? Understand that and where the book is going, and defining, of course, the correct genre. But yeah, being committed to the craft. At the end of the day, it's going to take work. You don't want to
Yes.
also push a lot of the work off on other people. When I say
Yes.
that, I'm
Yes.
saying even if you're financially stable to pay for everything, I think you need to understand the full process so you become much more knowledgeable as far as what it takes to have this book, to have it successfully, to be able to market it, to be able to brand it and push it out to the market. But
Yes.
I think it's just more so being committed to it. It's not just, oh, I want to write a book and do this. I think there has to be a sincere commitment and passion. And also, too, understanding once you write this book, who is it going to impact?
Yes.
So, yeah, like I said, I'm in line with a lot of things that Ginger said. It's just more so commitment, your passion, giving yourself an outline. And the biggest thing with writing, too, is commitment. You have to be able to allocate time to put
Yes.
into it, those midnight hours. And you might have, if you want this book done, yeah, you're going to have to stay up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to get certain things done. You need to
Yes.
have to be able to negotiate with people, different people in different realms of the business. So commitment.
Yeah.
I
That's
can say
principle.
before, Zoe hit the nail on the head. I mean, definitely the part about being knowledgeable about the business in all aspects, not just
Mhm.
writing the actual book. You know,
Yeah,
because the last thing you want is someone to take advantage of you. So the more
Yes.
you understand about how to advocate for yourself, you know, how to
absolutely.
protect yourself, I think that's important too. Um, and I don't have a marketing background, but I've learned so much, you know, from the
Oh,
first go
yeah.
round. I'm not going to make some of those, you know, mistakes that I made for the second book because I've been through it. You know, and it's not necessarily anything that was bad, but just like one example. So for my landing page, I didn't put a field on there for. I did pre-order for the first book, so I didn't put a field for supporters to write who they wanted the book to be autographed to. So
Okay.
I spent a lot of time backpedaling, going back to the transaction to get the actual person's email, and then emailing each individual supporter and asking them, "Hey, who would you like
Yes.
your autograph copy to be addressed to?" And guess what? Everybody doesn't check their email regularly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was waiting on that for some people, but then I said, "Oh goodness, I don't want people to think that I'm running an inefficient operation here by not getting
Yes.
the book in a timely fashion." So now I know when I go to create my website this time, I need to have a field so that I can get that information up front. Just small things like that, you know. But
Yeah.
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
process. You're always learning.
Yes.
But those are valuable, though.
Yes. And it's good once you get through it, because I remember when I started, I I learned so much. I learned so much from um writing, and remember I started with cookbooks, and I needed the picture, so I called a photographer, and I was, I wanted to find out, but I'm also a baker, so I baked all the dessert. I baked everything, and then I said, I'm baking it in my own time. So how am I going to get this person to come onesie twosie to take the pictures? I'm like, this is not going to work. So I went in. I started studying photography. I started going the lighting, the this, the camera, the this. I know a little bit more
Absolutely.
about photography than I should. So every time, doing your research,
Yes.
you need that information. Don't take it for granted. Like somebody say, "Oh yeah, that's the information." Do your research, especially when you're doing nonfiction. Make sure you have your information correct, because the last thing you want to do is put something out there that's wrong, and then they read the book and like, "Didn't you take the time to review this?" It
Absolutely.
doesn't look, it doesn't put you in a good light as an author because you're supposed to do your research. So if one thing I would say to you is do your research. Zoe touched on the commitment, and Ginger mentioned making those connections and connecting with different people and networking. So those are three tips you got from three different authors that you can run with.
And consistency too, especially if you're in social media, you want to make
Yeah.
sure that it's consistent throughout all your platforms. And like you said,
Yes.
that the information is correct. So no one has difficulty trying to, reach you or get through a transaction or whatever. Yeah, it's just, you know, dotting your I's and crossing your T's so you look professional and you present well because people respect you much more.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that's very important too, to always be professional. Your
Yes.
integrity is going to define who you are. So no matter what, I just read something about always doing what's right. And you have to, you have to stay committed to your craft, but you can't look at the financial status. You have to always say, how will this affect my integrity? And it's going to affect my integrity as a person. I can't do this.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that's just across the board. This is not just with, with writing, but just in life,
Absolutely.
outside of, you need to have, no matter what it is, people should be able to say, Ginger, no, she is the real deal. If you need
Absolutely.
something, check Ginger. She's going to tell you like it is.
That's right.
Zoe, yeah, you may not like what he says, but he's going to tell you. But those
Absolutely.
are the things. That's what you want people to say about you
Mhm.
because they know that okay, they can go to everybody else out there, but when they want the truth, they're going to seek you out because they know you're going to tell them like it is, not in a spiteful way or any way to put you down, but to really tell you what the real deal is because that's all you have, your integrity, your word.
Absolutely.
Word is all you have.
That's
So
right. That's right.
definitely, um you know thank you, Marita says awesome presentation, thanks for the writing tips. And I've been popping them up, I haven't been reading them out, but I want to just read and let you know. Cadmus Hall says great session. Let me put that up. Great session, and he's working on a children's book, so the information will
Mhm.
be helpful. So you're dropping gems and jewels right now.
It's all
Dropping
good.
gems
That's
and
what it's all
jewels.
about.
Well,
Yes,
you can't
sharing.
do it unless the only way you can do this is you presenting a platform like this, Renee. So it was a blessing,
Yes,
and I
thank
appreciate the opportunity. So you were able to present the presentation, the platform for us to be able to even be here. So my thanks to you for this wonderful
Thank
opportunity. I
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank
yeah.
you. And you're welcome. And thank you for being here.
It's a
Thank you
pleasure.
so much. So before we wrap up, I always ask these two questions: pen or paper or the computer?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Pen and paper or the computer? When you start writing, do you use a pen and paper or do you go straight to the computer?
Depends on where I'm at in the house. If
Okay.
I'm here at my computer, of course. But yes, my wife, I drive her crazy. I have notes and stickies of everything. She's like, "You got papers everywhere." And I'm like, "Sweetie, don't throw that away. That's a good idea right there." So yes, I enjoy the paper. And there's sometimes it's in the middle of the night. It's like it's like I just got to remember to do that in the morning. So yeah,
Yes.
it's a pleasure. I've been blessed to be able to have a creative mind, so I'm always doing something, whether it's an idea, writing something, or whatever. So yeah,
Yes.
it's all good.
Okay. Miss Ginger, pen and paper or the computer?
I like so I jot down stuff all the time, but when it came to writing, I still remember I was in school in grad school simultaneously. When I got hip to the fact that I could speak into my computer and it would type for
Oh
me,
yeah.
I went that route because it's much easier and efficient to edit and go back and change if you need to rather than script. So I use the computer.
Oh, well, I'm a pen and paper kind of girl, and then I
Yeah.
go to the computer. So I have like a million notebooks, and I have arrows, drawing, and things going all over the place. So I start out with the pen and paper, and then I move to the computer. So I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I say to people, because people always ask, so what do you think is the best thing? I said the best thing is getting your thought down. However you
Exactly.
put it down. You're talking to
Yeah,
your
that's
phone,
for
you're
sure.
talking to your computer, you're writing on a piece of paper, you put it on a sticky. I have tissue boxes with stories.
That's
Where
good.
I am, the thought comes to me and I write it down. Sometimes those are the
Sometimes
best
I've been in the
stories.
car and I've used the back of a receipt. So I agree with that. Whatever
Oh
I
Yes,
can
yeah.
put my hands on.
yes,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
everybody's process is different, So
Yes.
what you have to do what works for you.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. So, what may work for me may not necessarily work for you, but the most important thing that I can say is get it down on a
Get it
piece.
down.
Get it down somewhere.
That's
Yes.
Pen,
right.
paper, computer, whatever it is you want to do. So definitely.
Yes.
But before we go, we want to let people know where they can buy your books. So we're going to start with you, Miss Ginger. Tell them where you can get your books, where it's available, email and
Okay.
stuff. Oh,
Yes.
wait.
I can be found on Amazon. Again, my
No.
book is called Nile
Wait,
Surprise.
that's not your website, but
Yeah,
go ahead.
they switched it around.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
fine. Yeah, so I'm on Amazon, Now Surprise Discoveries. And as far as my social media handles, very simple. They're both Now Surprise Discoveries for both Facebook and Instagram. And if you wanted to email, I'm an author Ginger Smith at dgselfpublishing.com. Thank you so much.
Excellent, Ginger. And Zoe, can you tell us where we can get your books? I apologize.
Yes, it's and Ginger, don't worry. If they want to purchase your book at my site, I will tell them where to go. Don't you worry.
I apologize, Ginger. We'll drop your
No, it's all
information in the
right.
chat.
That's fine. That's
I'm
fine.
at of course www.boobearbooks.com. And you guys can my Instagram is at Zoduran216. And you can always email me at boobearbooks1@gmail.com. Love to hear your thoughts.
Excellent. Thank you so much, authors, for being here. We really appreciate it. And we just want to thank you again. Um, and, it was such an interesting talk with you about not just your books, but the writing process and just getting I think they got a little bit more today from then, and they always do, because we've had
Yeah,
some really good talks here with our authors, because everybody has something to share and everybody has
exactly.
a different perspective and a different experience, if you will. So everybody brings something to the table. And like Zoe said, there's enough room at the table. So please
That's right.
come on out. There's enough for everyone to eat. And we just have to be kind to each other and
Yes,
just be mindful that everyone is here. We're just here to help and just be very
absolutely.
mindful. Oh, is that the dog?
Uh-oh, that's the mascot.
Woo!
Well,
Hey
this is
now.
this is my doll. This is my
Very
doll.
nice.
Yeah, this is Niles
Excellent.
in his lab coat.
Oh,
Way to go,
nice.
Niles. Niles looks good.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And I will just want to share, because we're kind of wrapping up. We're kind of catching over our 7 o'clock time, but I
Okay.
just want to remind everyone that we have our annual book expo coming up in August, and this is our 8th annual. I cannot believe how that we are at number 8. This is such a huge deal, and I'm over the moon, excited. So just remember, even if you're an author and you're not participating and you want to place an ad, do that. Visit our website at www.iabx.org. But if you also are an author, come down and meet the other authors. Start to network. So many authors who have been to these events, this book expo, have connected and done so many amazing things. They've done anthologies, they've done books together. So come on down, meet the other authors. And like I told you, they're from all over the United States. So you're going to meet with someone from Texas or from North Carolina, and they're going to say, hey, I met this author in New Jersey, and they have this book that will be good for so and so. I'm good for
Exactly.
sharing a book. I'm not hung up on, well, I'm not going to tell them because they're going to buy my book or not buy, they're going to buy his or not mine. I'm not that
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
I want
Absolutely.
everybody to learn, especially if it's a really something that speaks to me, a really good book. So I like for people to share. We had so many authors. We just keep sharing the books.
Yeah.
So check out our website. If you want to be a part of the Author Speaks, definitely visit our website at www.iabx.org. And I just want to thank our authors again for being here. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Ginger, all the
Thank
way
you
from
for the opportunity.
and for Zoe from all the way from Lawrence, New Jersey. Woo, woo. My pastor always says, coming to you
Renee,
live from Roselle,
we are
New
definitely
Jersey.
bonded. Renee, I'm gonna have to find out because you're a baker now. See, we definitely bonded when you said those words. So I need to find out where your books are too.
Okay. Well, my books, just so now that you said that, because one of the things is I promote a lot of people and I forget about myself. But it's okay. They'll hear about me eventually. But I'm gonna share. Thank you, Zoe, for reminding me. My
No
books.
problem.
I have the Freddie series, and those are my children's books. That's a 4-book series, and my books are available at reneesmith.com. Thank you, Zoe. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So yes, you can get my books at reneesmith.com. They also have my cookbooks and my children's book and everything that I do besides. Because if you didn't know, I'm a Jamaican and we have like 1,000,001 jobs. So
Absolutely.
I crochet, I
That's
bake,
funny.
I write books.
Well, I'm gonna go on and buy and purchase both you guys' books. So don't
Thank
worry
you.
about that.
Likewise.
You're part of Team Zoe now, and we're gonna build each other. We grow together, we build each other.
Amen.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys, and thank you for being here. Our next edition will be in October. We're taking a break for July, August, and September. But definitely make sure you register because we're getting ready for our book expo. Very excited. We have so much going on. So we're putting all of that together. So thank you guys and see you soon. And remember to join the experience. Take care.
Thank
Hold
you.
on, guys.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate
I'm ending
that.
the broadcast. You can